Hello and welcome to the UNIKL e-Debate Cup 2021. Thank you to all the lecturers, students, and supporters for being here today. My name is Aman, and I will be your chairperson and timekeeper for this session. Today's session will be adjudicated by Shaki, Balkis, and Itifas. We are going to start with the second round of the preliminary rounds by reading the motion. The motion for this debate is the House regrets the trend of placing self-destructive antisocial characters as protagonists in media. For example, Bojack Horseman, Rick and Morty, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and Mad Men. The members of the government side representing UNIKL MIIT are Alif as the Prime Minister, Fatin as the Deputy Prime Minister, Batusha as the government whip. The reply speech from the government side will be given by Alif. The members of the opposition side representing Nikki Al-Mimet are Hafiz as leader of opposition, Wafa as the deputy leader of opposition, Shazan as the opposition whip. The reply speech from the opposition side will be given by Hafizi. Before we begin, I will briefly explain the rules. Each of the main speech is 7 minutes long. The first and last minute of each of these speech is known as protected time, which means that no points of information or POI will be asked by the opposing bench. The reply speech are 4 minutes long and are entirely protected from POI. As a timekeeper, I will mark the opening and closing of protected time with a single bang, once at 1 minute and a second time at 6 minutes. I will also indicate that a speaker's time is up with a double bang. If a speaker continues for a further 15 seconds, the indicator will start with a triple bang and thereafter continuously until the speaker stops. The indicator for the reply speech will start as single bang at 3 minutes, double bang on 4 minutes. If the speaker continues for a further 15 seconds, the indicator will start with a triple bang and thereafter continuously until the speaker stops. Will I also politely ask that phones be switched off for the duration of each debate? If you wish to use your phone, please mute your mic and switch off your video to respect the ongoing session. Participants, you will have a 10-minute grace period if you are disconnected. Please continue your speech during that period. We will move on to the next speaker if you fail to reconnect after the grace period. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming the first speaker of the debate, the Prime Minister, to the floor to open the debate. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker. Please wait a while. I will highlight you first. Okay. You may start whenever you are ready.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To the chair, thank you to the chairperson. So today our motion is this House regret the trend of placing self-destructive, anti-social characters as protagonists in media. So what are we gonna do in the government side? So firstly, we will define the motions. So self-destructive is defined is when you do something that is sure to cause self-harm, whether it is emotional or physical. Many self-destructive behavior, such as impulsive and risky behavior, overusing alcohol and drugs, and self-injury. There are more subtle form of self-destructive, such as being self-derogatory, insisting you are not smart enough, you are not capable enough, or attractive enough. Secondly, changing yourself to please other, and thirdly, clinging to someone who is not interested in you. For example, when we talk about protagonists in media, self-destructive, antisocial character as protagonist in media, Bojack Horseman, he himself is an alcoholic and narcissistic horseman. So secondly, antisocial can be defined as remorseless, habitual, and pervasive disregard of violation of the rights of other. This whole need to clear. Antisocial means against the society, not whether usually we understand the antisocial is we used to keep ourselves in the room, we used to avoid ourselves to the society, but it is wrong. The antisocial is a behavior against the society, whether it is rules, law, or acceptable behavior. So protagonist is main character in films and drama. So media is main means of mass communication. So today we will focus on broadcasting media such as Netflix, Fox TV. So when we talk about self-destructive and antisocial characters, the most popular one is BoJack Horseman, Rick and Morty, and Family Guy. So when we talk about the trend of placing the destructive antisocial character as protagonists in media, it will our side believe that it will bring more harm than the benefits. So today on the government side, we will prove the harm of the trend of placing self-destructive antisocial characters as protagonists in media, and we will push and discharge a burden to the opposition to prove that the benefit outweigh the negative effect of these motions. So we believe that it gives more harms than benefits. So we will go to the first argument is give bad effects to the viewers. As we know, BoJack Horseman Rick and Morty is a young adult animation that should be watched viewers that more than 80 years old should be considered to watch it. I'm sorry. Anyway, negative behavior supposed not to be romanticized in this media, such as alcoholic, self-injury, and verbal assault. Why do you need to pull out this behavior in the first place if they have no benefit to the society? Why do you need to show us the self nihilistic behavior, destructive,
Your
antisocial
eyes, sir.
uh, wait that will give more harms than benefit to the society? Why do you need to show it for the first place? So as an example, on October 2017, selected USA McDonald released Szechuan sauce just in time for the protagonist for the Rick and Morty series. Rick verbally mentioned the sauce in Rick and
Your
Morty
eyes,
season 3.
sir.
So what? Yes, you mean?
Uh, Let me ask, do you agree that some cartoons or these TV shows or TV series, like so-called on Netflix, like you mentioned before, actually have some benefits rather than none at all? Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree. They have benefits, but the negative effect outweigh the benefit more than the benefits. We believe that these shows give more harm to the society than the benefits. They have their benefits, but it is bring more harm to the society. So as I continue, when Rick verbally mentioned Szechuan sauce, the gesture quickly proved too disastrous as supplies of the sauce ran out and the fight broke out and staff were verbally abused. So furthermore, riots erupted and police arrived to quell the uproar. Not one, but multiple locations that this incident happened. So simply just because the mention of the sauce uh, in the show, we we believe Rick is narcissistic, pursues self-interest, and disregard all social expectation as he is self-destructive and anti-social character that give more harms to the society than the benefits. So this is a bad example to the viewer. So you might say this is not the direct effect of the show, but in the long term period, this show, the negative effect of the show that they usually portray bad behavior that will be a example to the viewers. So this usually BoJack Horseman and Rick and Morty, they are absolutely popular on the viewers in the Netflix. So I think the target audience many watch it as
Your eyes, sir.
and it will be influenced by the viewers. So I think that's all from me. So our motion today is this house regret the trend of placing self-destructive antisocial characters as protagonists in media, and we have proof that it bring more harm than the benefits of it. Thank you. Choose wisely. Choose government.
Thank you for that speech. Now, please welcome the first speaker of opposition, leader of opposition, to open the case for their side. Speaker, please wait a while before I put you in the chat. Yes, I already highlighted you. Speaker, you may start whenever you are ready.
All right, test one, two, three. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
All right, I shall start, I guess. So, having a negative perception is a sin because when you do so, nothing will ever be positive in your eyes again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Primarily, I bid to the honorable panel of adjudicators, accurate timekeeper, government, opposition, and member of this majestic parliament. This is how the opposition will enter today's debate. So, as the first speaker, I'll present the burden of proof and our stance before moving on to several layers of clarification and rebuttals. Then I'll move on to my argument entitled The Trends of Making Self Destructive or Antisocial Protagonists in Media is an Effort of Creating Awareness Among Our Society. Then, my second speaker will give out her arguments regarding the causes of antisocial and how to deal with the personality disorder. And finally, my wit will then deconstruct the anatomy of the case presented from the government team. Now, let me walk you through the case setup I have and what would the opposition prove on this debate. There are three things that we will prove on this debate. So one, we'll prove that antisocial or self-destructive character development can have huge pros if they are taken in another much better perspective. Number two, we will prove to you that we think that people should become more aware of these mental illnesses or personality disorders. And three, we'll also prove to you that how these trends of creating antisocial or self-destructive protagonist character development and will prove to you how it is a must for the society to deal with people who have personality disorder or mental illnesses. All right. Well, our stand is very simple. The we believe that the trends of placing self-destructive or antisocial characters as protagonists in media, for example, BoJack Horseman, Rick and Morty, Crazy Ex-Girlfriends, and Mad Men, uh, should not be regret as it would also bring benefits rather than only harms, like as stated by the Prime Minister before. So moving on to the characterization I have for you. So as today's opposition, we strongly believe that today's motion is not true. The current trend of putting antisocial of self-destructive protagonists in media. So we think that antisocial, okay, I'm sorry. We agree that by the definition that was brought by the Prime Minister before. However, there are still some things that I need to address so that people would have a better understanding and would avoid misleading of the information. So we think that antisocial is not only it's not only centered to what the Prime Minister have brought before. Antisocial could have a bigger meaning than only like what the Prime Minister had mentioned before. So we think that antisocial means a behavior that's contrary to the laws and custom of society in a way that causes annoyance and disapproval. In another word, not sociable or wanting the company of others. Not only does antisocial means that someone wants to commit self harms and stuff, they also not sociable. So we think that people who are antisocial are selfish and obviously somehow would influence kids. We do not deny the fact that the government brought before, which is the protagonist that portrays antisocial and self-destructive would influence us kids. But however, let's have a closer look so that we could change our perspective towards the better one. So
POI?
no, thank you. So, the Prime Minister before said that Prime Minister said that these such series or cartoons would influence people to commit crime. However, if we take a better look at this, like how I asked the Prime Minister before, not only this series would bring this bats and only bats. This series also have some good input that people can actually take from it. So, for example, as for example, in an episode of Rick and Morty, which is Rick Shank's Redemption, Rick lied and manipulated Bat to have Jerry removed from the home so he could be undisputed patriarch and hero. So we think that not that this from this episode, we believe that in order for us to make the world a better place for everyone, we could not deny the existence of this characteristic in our society. We should always have a better look so that we can make the world a better place for everyone without any
Still I?
discrimination. So, no, thank you. Moving on to my point, we believe that the character development that is antisocial and self-destructive will also help to create awareness among the society. This is because we believe that these mental illnesses and personality disorder are considered taboo in our society and not been given enough attention. And people don't really have huge knowledge on how to deal with this kind of people who have to deal with mental illnesses. So we think that by having this char- antisocial and self-destructive characters as the main character, we believe that this would somehow help the society to have better understanding of people who have to deal with personality disorders like this. So we think that in order for us to progress together, in order for us to make the world a better place for everyone, we should not ignore people who have to deal with this kind of problem. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader of Opposition, for that speech. Before I continue, Opposition, you may call the team members, using your phone to check if he will get into this debate round. If he's not available, we will have a grace period of 10 minutes. However, it will be up to you whether we will move on to the
Excuse
replies.
me,
Yes?
I am the opposition for Team Unique Mime, and
Yes.
I'll be sharing the laptop with the Prime Minister. And
With
this
the,
is
the, with the
no,
opposition with,
the LO. Sorry, the
sorry.
Minyak. Sorry.
Okay. So he is in, okay?
So this
Yeah.
this has been approved by the program director Irfan.
Sure, no problem. Thank you so much for explaining that to me. Okay, now let us invite the second speaker from the government side, the Deputy Prime Minister, to continue with the speech. Wait, I will highlight you first. Okay, Ms. Speaker, you may start whenever you are ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, one misunderstanding from the opposition side today. They say that we are totally eliminating those benefits and good influence from the series or the movies. No, from my first speaker, we already explained to you, we do agree that there are a lot of benefits that we can earn from these movies or series, but also we tell you that the the harms outweigh the benefits. Hence, why we regret to put this self-destructive and antisocial characters as protagonists in media. Ladies and gentlemen, before that, let's look at a few rebuttals, right? So, first of all, they say that they always try to argue that we don't regret to put these characters as protagonists because there are a lot of benefits too. First point, First point, everything have their own pros and cons. Everything have their own benefits. Everything have harm. But that is not the problem in today's debate. The matter of fact, if the motion put before us today is not to discuss whether this kind of series or movies is bad or good, because it have both. Okay, it have both elements. It's for us to discuss which outweigh another. So we on the government side, we will prove to you that this kind of series have more harms compared to benefits, and the opposition should prove to you that this series have more benefits compared to harm. This is how the debate should progress. Whether not about fighting whether which one is good, which one is bad. And then second, they say that the existence of this kind of series and movies is to help to create awareness for the community, right? They say that our society today is not exposed enough to this kind of mental illness, for example, like personality disorder. So they say that by projecting those characteristics on characters in movies and series, this is the way for us to create awareness, right? I disagree with this. Why? Because firstly, I think we should put like a scrutiny examination on this, right? So in the movie, I think it is, if they want to create awareness, I think it's important for me to highlight the character progression in the movies. Okay, so in most movies,
POI.
for example, like Mad Men movies, no thank you, Mad Men movies, we could see that the main character have no like progression in or effort in trying to overcome his bad habits. Okay, like for example, he is involved with non-stop alcohol consumption, then until the end of the series he's still that kind of person. So is this the kind of message that
POI.
the opposition side try to spread to the society? So we on the opposition side, we believe that this is not good for society. We care about these people. We are aware of the existence of people with mental illness in our society. And by projecting a character which have no progression or nor efforts in overcoming their illness is totally not a good example for us to project to the society. And secondly, if we
POI,
want,
ma'am.
if we were about to buy that kind of one, right? If we were about to buy that, oh, this movie can create awareness for the society, there are a lot of ways for you to create awareness in a more direct message, in a more good language, ladies and
POI,
gentlemen. Like
ma'am.
for example, we have a wide access of internet now. We have social media and more. So instead of like you putting this um bad behavior protagonist for the viewers, why not you firstly in the movie, why not you put a good example on the character? Like, yes, they are self-destructive, but they show improvement and effort to overcome that. That is as awareness. Or else you can like create a campaign, right? Like spread the message, the good positive message online. Moving on to my point, which is I will explain to you on two levels. First, I will explain how this kind of series and movies in the broadcast media provide us with indirect messages and why it is bad. And the secondly, I will talk about insensitivity. But yeah, before I proceed, I'll take yours. Is there any POI? Okay.
Yes,
So
I have POI. All right.
yes,
So,
please.
don't the government think that if we keep making like that directly delivered message through cartoons and stuff, don't you think that people would get boring of it, because there are lots of series that portrays only goods and only goods? At the end of the day, people wouldn't watch it. People want to watch something different. Don't you think that from making the protagonist as the bad character, I could say, would make people become more interested in watching a series? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the impact on society. If we want to like make people watch it more, it's a different case. It's about like rating and viewers, right? We are talking about the impact on the society. We care about our society. That is our first concern. Okay, moving on to my argument. Why it displays indirect messages and how it is bad for the society. Okay, so the stakeholders that you need to you need to acknowledge here, when we publish this on broadcasting media, it's not just it will not just be watched by adults, right? It will also be watched by young generations who are far more good in using technologies. There are a lot of websites or illegal websites that display this movie and series without any censor, right? So when this young generation who have lower ability of interpretation watch this kind of movies where the character continuously drink alcohol, continuously doing self-destructive activities, it will affect them because the level of interpretation is lower from the adults, right? We care about we acknowledge this kind of stakeholders. And then the second one, insensitivity. Right now, COVID-19 in the pandemic era, the suicide cases are rising, right? So for you to project this kind of suicide and self-destructive on the media, it will affect the family members of someone who suicide, like because the characters show no progression, so it will like affect them. It will not normalize this kind of culture in today's world. Never be proud to oppose. Thank you. Propose. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister, for the speech just now. And now I would like to welcome the second speaker of the opposition, the Deputy Leader of Opposition, to continue the debate for their side. Please wait, I will highlight you first. Okay. Ms. Speaker.
Yes. Can you give me a minute?
Sure, no problem. Wait a while. Okay, Ms. Speaker, you may start whenever you are ready.
Okay, hi and very good morning to all of us today. So I am a deputy leader opposition team. So first of all, I would like to argue for the deputy prime minister. She's just talking about Epstein, I think, because that we already have stated about our point, and she obviously tried to block it, like try to blind it. Because here, let me talk about it. If we only talk about how this impacted to the society, would there be any people or benefit to watch it or interest about it if we kind of just doing camping and anything like that? No. This is why we use this media. This is why we use this media or cartoon to attract more people to have a knowledge about the awareness of antisocial, so that we are not going to neglect them. That's from. You can wait for me to finish my point first, argument first. Thank you. So that let us go to my first point. So this house regrets. We are against that the trend of placing. We are against this motion. Okay, to that regret that the trend of placing self-destructive or antisocial characters as protagonists in media, because of like my prime minister said, instead of neglect them, we should have make them feel protected. Okay, let me say why I'm saying like this, because people who are let me say this, antisocial or self-destructive is a mental disorder. Okay, it's a mental disorder. We cannot choose, or people cannot choose exactly if they want to be antisocial in the first place. No, thanks. In the first place, all right? Okay, so let's move on to my first point is research shows us that causes of antisocial personality disorder because of, for example, traumatized, a person being traumatized because of sexual harassment, for example, abuse by family, broken family, and etc., or being followed by a bad influencer, being a drugs or that etc. So as a prime minister stated, it is against it is against society of becoming antisocial. No, it's not, because we are not choosing to be antisocial in the first place. So we cannot just neglect them. How can we as a humanity in ourselves want to neglect them? Want to neglect someone with mental disorder? Can you think about it? Yes, we can.
Yeah,
Because of that, we are no. Please let me continue with my argument. Sorry, thank you. So this is why I really cannot understand how DPM is exactly say that thing. Okay, so the second is the thing as this also because of genetic. Okay, so this is why antisocial should be more exposed. To be more exposed to our society, to bring awareness on how antisocial had become, or that our world has become more have become aware about that our world has become more terrible of the social because of the causes that I mentioned, that okay, being traumatized first. Second is we have to show support with the media, so we not neglect them. Okay, if we just think about that, like I say, we doing this because we want to attract more people to watch and to be awareness about the antisocial person. If we are just doing a campaign right now, nobody's gonna do, like we can say that nobody wanna heard about it. And since it's a media, they will catch eyes on the world, so it have to be considered right. So social support, we can notice. So in order, what benefits can be made here? So if we are doing a protagonist of antisocial characters, we can notice people in this world can notice or more awareness about if their family members have a problem or traits to become one of antisocial. So that how we are going to be how we going to handle it, that we are watching we are agreeing to antisocial to have a main character or protagonist in a cartoon and etc. This, let me just so this is why we are truly against this motion today, because I think that this world will not be fair, or will not be fair enough, because we are just neglect a mental disorder. Let me remind you, antisocial is a mental disorder. Is a mental disorder. If we are just going to neglect them, or if we just not going to improve our world by convincing or by creating awareness to other people to know, to be more knowledge about antisocial and this mental disorder. So what are we doing actually as a human? So I guess that's all from me. If you have any POI, I can take it for now.
No, speaker, it's already 6 minutes.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. That's my end of speech.
Okay, now thank you for the speech with the leader of opposition. Now let us welcome the government whip to summarize the debate for the government side. Please wait, I will highlight you first. Okay, wait. Miss Speaker, you may start whenever you are ready.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay. Okay. First off, I would like to say that being neglected and being shined in a different light is a whole different matter. What opposition is trying to shine on our side is that saying that we don't care at all about mental illness, even when they say that we don't even give a damn about anything that's happening towards mental illness. What we're trying to say here is actually because of the fact that we want to shine mental illness in a good way for all kinds of audience will be able to receive this information without any cost or any bad impact that can happen to our society. So I'm really actually is
I'm really confused on how the opposition is really actually reading on what the government side is standing on for. Okay, so moving on to what is actually occurring in the debate. Since we this house regrets on putting behavior protagonists in media, as we see broadcast media, movies, Netflix, all that stuff. The clashes that occur in our debate right now is firstly of how opposition side is trying to say that, oh, if we don't do this in this matter, showing reckless behavior, showing drinking, smoking, all these kind of bad behavior to the viewers, we won't get any awareness at all. But I would like to say, let me confirm again about how my second speaker has already told you about does is there any progression in what the viewer is showing. If we were to show a good example, in the end there would have been a progression at least showing how the viewer copes with it, because why we want the society or viewers to relate on these kind of movies, since that's what you're trying to go for, right? Opposition, you want awareness, you want people to relate on this kind of issue. But I don't see how this actually can make people relate and improve these kind of mental illness or even just bad behaviors itself. Okay, moving on to another clash that is occurring in our debate is on how, oh, the opposition side is saying, oh, these kind of things give benefits, this they will give awareness, we won't neglect them. Yes, we're sure that everything has a benefit, but in the end, does it overweigh the impact, the bad impact that can happen in our society? Okay, let me give you examples, not only just because of movies. Let's say we'll go wide. Okay, bad behaviors in any kind of media, games, and such stuff. Okay, let's see a case that occurred for a young man who already had sociopathic characteristics because of the fact that he watched or he was too obsessed with a game, Call of Duty, has actually triggered an inner killing instinct inside himself and caused a mob killing for about 20 people from the last 2 years. Okay, so this example itself shows that any kind of bad behavior that you put out on the media, any kind of audience could use this in the wrong way. Okay, so we would like to see that we would like to prevent these kind of things to occur. You might say that this is one in a lifetime occurrence, but this one in a lifetime occurrence can cause 10, 20 people to die. So are you trying to neglect these 10 or 20 people that might die in the future because of the fact that you want some awareness that not other campaigns can also give? Okay, so moving on to my
Will
rebuttals.
I?
No, no, thank you. Okay, so moving on to my rebuttals on how the opposition side is trying to say that, oh, antisocial and these kind of reckless behaviors are all cause of mental illness, all cause because of genetics and all that stuff. Okay, we say that is one factor, but we also have to remember people make their own, uh, people make their own decisions, and this is also caused by their own beliefs, and because of the fact that you, like my my second speaker said, you are normalizing these kind of behaviors. You're saying that to the audience that, oh, it's okay that you have these kind of behaviors, it's normal, it's okay, because in the fact in these kind of movies you don't see that much of a backlash that happens to the characters, because why, they're the main characters. Okay, so I would like to say that because of the fact that there's some benefits of it, but in the end, there's more harm than good that can happen from if you were in to stay in the opposition's world. For on our side, we are trying to protect any kind of audience, children, youngsters, adults, from these kind of aggressive behaviors, these reckless behaviors that can become an influence, a role model at least, for and justifying these kind of actions if they do it in real life. Okay, moving on to my other rebuttal, on how they say that if how they say that if nobody interacts with this, then there won't be any awareness. I would like to say that there are many other kinds of ways, and there are many other ways that have already been done to protect or even give more awareness of these kind of practice or these kind of dangerous behaviors, such as the United Nations, UNICEF, has already done large-scale campaigns to influencers, to models of somewhat that have an audience to give to ensure or give spread awareness about this mental issue. So I don't understand the fact where they say that in our world we won't give any awareness at all, and we are neglecting this kind of mental illness. Okay, and another thing that I would like to emphasize is on our side why this debate, why we actually regret on putting protagonists as the main protagonists who have bad behaviors and antisocial characteristics is because of the fact that um, it's because of the fact that when we see that when we justify these kind of bad behavior, seeing that alcohol, as we know, these kind of movies, they have a background, like saying that, oh, their mother is alcoholic, and because of that, he became alcoholic. So as you can see, we're trying to prove a point that when people or audience see these kind of things, they're trying to say, oh, if like my mother's an alcoholic, then it wouldn't it wouldn't be a big problem, or it wouldn't be so surprising if I were to become an alcoholic. That is not okay. Our government is not standing with these kind of mentalities, these stigmas. We are always trying to protect our society, social, to ensure a better social life for the society itself. So, in the end, I would like to say that whatever it is, we agree that these kind of protagonists give benefits, but we are trying to prove that these bad impacts that also happen because of you displaying these kind of protagonists can also occur. And I think this is more detrimental than any other thing than giving benefit itself. So I hope opposition does not neglect these kind of impacts, ensures that these impacts have a solution and it won't be a bother with these kind of benefits. Thank you. I'm more happy than to regret this motion.
Thank you. The government whip for the speech. Now let's continue to the opposition whip. Wait, I will highlight the leader of opposition as you are speaking on the behalf, or you are speaking by the leader of opposition screen. So, Mr. Speaker, you may start whenever you are ready.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, you are loud and clear.
Alhamdulillah. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to everyone. So, first and foremost, I would like to state that the government whip proof is not valid because number one, being alcoholic does not relate to watching on social media and watch those anti-social protagonists. And second, the government did not give exact proof on the practical benefits to the of why we should regret this motion. Okay. Then I would like to highlight. Sorry. Okay. So before that, I would like to sum things up on what on my team been trying to explain on why we should not regret that the placing self-destructive antisocial characters as protagonists in media. I would like to state that in media, not
POI,
only,
please.
excuse me.
POI.
Oh, not yet because I haven't stated my point yet. Please wait. So I would like to state that media is something that is so big, not only from social media, but also to newspapers, games, and everything that you can see in your daily life as well. In fact, on our hands, we already one step away from the social media. So I would like to state that placing the self-destructive or antisocial characters as protagonists both have their pros and cons. And I remember hearing that the Deputy Prime Minister stated that it won't give any effect on the viewers because they don't have any progression. Then how about this? I have a good example about progression of an social character. I think you may have heard Michael DeSanta from GTA 5. He is a sociopath who can't control himself and he does not know whether that thing is right or wrong, and he tends to go to strip clubs and all. But throughout his progress in the game, we can see that he regrets that because this has badly affect his family. His family left him all alone and depressed. So throughout the progress inside the game, we can see that he's trying to change to be a better person. And in the end of the game, he is no longer the sociopath he was. But that depends on the player section. But cameo speaking, he really did move from his sociopathic ways. Okay, so I would like to state that
POI.
not, yes, please.
You just talk about the example in game, right? Can you give more like relatable example for our scope, which is broadcasting? Thank you.
Games is also broadcasting because it automatically broadcasts in front of our eyes. So that is broadcasting to me. So thank you. I hope it answers that. Um, and then um, okay, and I would like to highlight that the antisocial characters should not be neglected at all. As the saying goes, don't judge the book by its cover. Although he is antisocial, we are not allowed to judge him or her by whatever he or she is doing. But we have our own human common sense where that if he is literally killing in front of us, we can state that this person is problematic. But we cannot say that an antisocial person doing anything is bad to the community, because being antisocial sometimes can be good as well. I would like to state several examples. Is due to being antisocial, they can be free among themselves, and then they don't need to reach people's expectation where they can express or do something freely. And then I would like to state that it also and sorry. Okay, so before I would like to end my point there, and then I have another rebuttal to point out for the
Yeah,
government side. Yes.
you said that just now you talk about antisocial character, right? We give examples of antisocial character like self-injury, self-destructive, and alcoholic. Are you okay with that?
Excuse me, what? Self what?
Self-injure, injuring oneself and alcoholic. Are you okay with that?
What do you mean by okay? Is it that
Because you say that by having
okay?
antisocial,
Okay, before that, before I answer, I would like to know where do you get this? The fact or the statistics that state that alcoholic or self-injured is a part of the antisocial, and the number. Where do you get the fact or statistics of number of people being in a bad influence when scrolling through social media as we learn more about the awareness? Any answers?
Mr. Speaker, you may continue your speech.
Okay, thank you. So through this, I would like to highly state that we are completely strong with our points, because I would like to advise to everyone, including the panels, let's not look at the bad sides of the antisocials, but let's look at the good sides of them as well. Remember, don't judge a book by its cover. Thank you and have a nice day. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you for the reply speech, Mr. Speaker. I would like to thank all the speakers for their speech. Now, let's give the government and opposition sides 5 minutes to prepare for the reply speech. Please be aware that the reply speech will be for 4 minutes and no POI is allowed. Let us welcome the opposition side to give the reply speech. Wait, I will highlight you first. Okay, yep, you are highlighted. Mr. Speaker, you may start whenever you are ready.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Alright, I shall start, I guess. Alright, so we don't have a choice on whether we do medias and socials. The question is how well we do it. We, from the side of the opposition, does not regret today's motion, but unfortunately, we regret that the government today are so narrow-minded to see the practical benefits of today's media portraying this antisocial and self-destructive as protagonists. The government have to realize that in real life it isn't always rainbows and butterfly. By projecting self-destructive characters, it is crucial for the real world, showcasing reality and at the same time giving awareness to all. Humans don't rely solely on broadcast and media to pattern their behavior. There are multitudinous ways and contributing factors. Therefore, it isn't such a bad thing to play self-destructive characters as protagonists in movies. Uh, Projecting such characters can be an indirect cry for help or a great lesson to all. So the government should note that mental health isn't a one-man issue to deal with. Many other parties play an important role too. Through such medias showcasing such characters, it also educates the public to be extra aware of those around them, especially the close one. So, moving on, from the points given brought by the opposition, we believe that by portraying the antisocial and also self-destructive characters as a protagonist, we believe that this will eventually create awareness among our society so that we could have a better society that are aware in the sense of being conscious of the mental state of those who are around them. Who people in our society will then be able to have a more brief knowledge on how to deal with people with such mental illnesses and personality disorders. Not only that, through media broadcasting that choose to have the antisocial and social destructive characters as the protagonists, this will help people to pay more attention on issues that are considered taboo these days. So the government should pay more attention on finding the solution, not on blaming uh, the medias. All right. So also, not only that, we would like to highlight that this is not only the role of the media to avoid kids from being influenced by this media broadcasting. Parents and other parties also should play their important roles. It is government should not only look at this matter through the small perspective. Like, why not we focus more on solving this other than to just like keep blaming the medias for not finding the solution. Uh, Parents are also at fault for not teaching their kids. All right, so I guess that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you for the reply speech. Now let us welcome the last speaker for today's debate to give the reply speech for the government side. Please welcome. Wait, I will highlight you first. Yes.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum
Wait,
warahmatullahi.
Mr. Speaker, sorry. Wait, yep.
Yes.
You may start.
Yes, sorry. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to the chairperson. So today our motion is this house regret the trend of placing self-destructive anti-social characters as protagonists in media. So as we stand, by our stance is as it gives more harms than the benefits to the viewer. So I would like to clarify that why we choose broadcasting is because films and drama, this form of media is a direct impact. More people watch than more people read. So I think that this form of media broadcasting is crucial as everybody watch it and it gives bad effect to the viewers. So back to my first argument is give bad effects to the viewers. So usually this anti-social self-destructive behavior are romanticized in this media: alcoholic, self-injury, verbal assault. Why do you need to pull out this behavior at the first place? There are no need to pull out this behavior and to show it to the viewers if they have no benefit to the society. So as might say, the USA McDonald incident that caused riot, verbal assault until police came to piece it. So this is a bad example to the viewers. Or some say this is a not direct effect of the show. In a long term period, this effect show the effect of the show as it influenced the viewers. Secondly, it is displays the direct message for the younger generation. Far more good in using technology. They will watch these things. So kids with lower interpretation than adult will watch these things, and they might be influenced with these negative behaviors. Alcoholics, self-engineers, they have a lot of curiosity as they grow up. They might want to explore. We don't want to create an alcoholic generation, suicidal generation. So we acknowledge the stakeholder to create the more safe environment for the viewers. And thirdly, insensitive, as this show portrays suicidal, self-injury, alcoholic. As we know that suicide cases rise, self-injury. So there are no. We think that this show nothing about the character progression. This from the beginning until the end, they are they. You know what I mean? The self-destructive antisocial character is what they are. There are no character progression in the media. So it does cause insensitivity to the viewers. So everything have pros and cons. Today we are not discussing which is good or bad. We are regret that the trend of placing self-destructive of anti-social characters as protagonists in media. There are more harm than benefits, such as Mad Movie. There are no character progression. Alcoholic until the end. What are they trying to portray actually? The negative effects actually outweigh the benefit. So we concern for every stakeholder, children and adults. We believe that the advantage is more than the benefits. Lastly, if you want to create awareness, there are many other places to create awareness: social media, television, but not in this show to protect bad behavior. They say we are neglecting this behavior, but this is not the place. Letting bad example through media that audience can see is a bad example. So antisocial is against society. Alcoholic itself is against society norm. Do you want to portray this behavior in media? So is the opposition ready to see the young generation that easily manipulated, exposed to such reckless behavior such as madmen? The consequences have been stated that the person might do self-harm, and not only that cause the harm. We believe that the opposition is the one that living in a dream, thinking the life is about all about butterfly and rainbow. We have proven that it bring more harm than benefits. I think that's all from me. Choose wisely, choose government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your speech. With that, the debate for this round has ended. Us give the educators some time to discuss this round result. The educators, you may move to your respective rooms. I ask the participant to please remain in this room. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Wow, you guys are so bad, so good at it. Oh my god, Prime Minister different. Oh my god.
Korang mantap.
Also yours. Oh my god, your point is so accurate, you know.
Oh, I guess it's about
Korang pun okey juga. Rasa macam ada point opposition tu sebenarnya yang valid, yang betul lah sebenarnya.
Korang degree ke?
tak, kita orang first sem diploma.
I just want to say
Sorry,
that.
jadi
Orang jadi
Bukan picture lah semua.
By the way, can we take a picture? I want to screenshot this.
Jom, jom.
Free Korea ke?
Kita orang 3 pergi Korea.
Satu kelas.
안녕하세요.
Sarang heyo.
Let's take a picture, right? I want to do a screenshot in this screen.
Oh my god.
One, two. One more. Okay, one more, yeah? So one more. 1, 2, 3. Alright. Thank you so much.
Aduh.
It's a good experience, obviously.
Itulah kita orang pun dapat good experience.
Yeah, we got many things to learn from you. You are the best.
Kita orang pun. Korang pun classmate ke?
Not exactly, but the LO and the LO, we are same course.
Oh.
Wait, super senpai.
He's a senior.
Super opa. Super opa. Dah finally dah pun.
But
Adik.
her face look like one of the actors, I think. Really? Yeah. The weak one.
Siapa?
The weak one. Yeah, Batrisha.
Oh, Batrisha.
The weak one. Yeah, the weak one.
Wih.
But you guys are so pretty. No, you guys pretty.
Oh.
I think that's pretty. Just like the weak one look like one of the actress, I think. Tiba cakap pasal benda ni.
Yang mana? Actress yang mana? Dia tengah kembang.
Yang the one that kahwin dengan footballers. I don't know.
Oh, yo.
Alah, lupa lah dia. I lupa lah.
Jauh sangat ni.
Ada lah. Search kan ke?
Search lah.
Wait, search.
Hai korang. It's me. Akhirnya baru aku bersuara. Dah nampak muka. Sorry lah, laptop buat hal lah. Tak tahulah StreamYard ni dah naik gila ke apa. Tengok internet laju.
Biasa tu tadi first round pun tengah cakap lepas tu dia drop keluar.
Aduh.
By the way, you guys degree or degree lah?
Foundation.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Blur sikit. Okay lah.
Apa? Batrisha dia tak mana dia? Ke dia off tadi?
Dia dekat backstage. Dia tak boleh masuk.
Oh ya. Yeah.
Oh.
Tapi
Tadi line dia pun crash ke? Tu.
baru
Tu isteri football.
Patricia, you look like an actress.
Oh, please don't.
Batrisha. Ni actually first time tau aku jadi whip, so yoroshiku.
Tak apa. It's been a while. Tak pernah debate lama sangat dah.
Your whips also bagi lot of point, a lot of clarify, you know. Actually.
Korang pun padu gak tau.
Thank you.
Betul.
Aku banyak sangkut tapi tak apalah. Better than ever.
No, your voice was so soft macam mana tanya je ni.
Tak
Dia pun
apalah.
actually first time debate selama ni debat. So first time lah speak English.
Ni pun first time ni. Daripada bahasa Melayu masuk English. Siapa yang bahasa Melayu?
Sama baru first time try bahasa Inggeris.
Ni Prime Minister. Salam.
Ya, banyak tu semua.
Udyc ni satu. Nama kampus je lain-lain. Tapi kita one family.
Betul.
Aduh.
Tadi first round korang lawan siapa?
Dah kena.
My side.
Myself.
Korang?
Lawan siapa tadi? Tak ingat.
BMI.
Government with Patricia, diorang tak hebat ke sebab tu kau tak ingat kau punya lawan? Like macam kau bantai dia orang betul-betul ke sebab tu kau tak ingat?
Wah.
Pati pun tak ingat masalah dia.
Shots fired. Bang daripada MIT ya. Aduh.
Astagfirullah. Sorry.
Just wondering lah, korang tengok ke like, semua cerita ni? Project Osman, Madman, like My Girlfriend, semua tu korang tengok
Tak
ke?
ada.
Tak
Tak, aku tak tahu.
We got no idea at all actually. The
Google
week one doing a lot of work by searching for them actually.
Apa?
Searching? Searching. Oh, bukan. Sebab macam yang aku ingat kan macam like, kan Project Osman tu kan macam Tak, sebab aku ingat like Bojack Horseman
Sorry.
kan it's okay. Bojack Horseman kan dia punya tu. Dia punya tu kan banyak. Like dia meme keluar. I think like meme keluar yang kuda tu kan. Aku tahu yang tu je. Yang lain tak.
Orang kepala kuda tu. Tu
Ha
Bojack
ha
Horseman.
ha, yang tu je.
Sebenarnya tak layan sebenarnya. Itu yang macam macam I don't know what to say actually.
Tahu cerita tu tapi tak tengok.
Okay. Okay.
Masa baca motion saya tak faham ke?
Okay.
Betul,
So
betul.
let's give to the chair to give the verdict. Okay, chair, you may unmute your mic. Mr. Chair, Shaki. I will highlight you, Mr. Shaki. Wait. Yep. So Shaki, are you there? Are you okay? Oh, you're using another device. So how will I like give out the verdict? Oh, okay. I think
Am
I
I
know. Okay.
audible?
Yeah. You are audible.
Right, you can hear me? Great. Sorry for that.
Sure.
Okay. I'll start. Thanks everyone for that wonderful debate. I will give you some general comments and then moving on to the verdict, and I'll justify the verdict. Before I start, I'd just like to say that my other trainees had wonderful comments as well. Much of it, I mean, everything they said I agreed with entirely. So I think it would be great for you to go ahead and ask them for feedback in future rounds and this round as well. Okay, so first, general comments, right? I think I have two general comments. The first is that this debate was pretty good in terms of like engagement, and I do see it, and I do see efforts into engaging. But the problem that I have with this debate is that there was lack of world building. Maybe it's because you guys didn't watch these movies, but I think it would be great for you to just tell me what does self-destructive behavior really likely looks like. And apart from just stating examples, I would like you to just tell me why those examples are what is likely to happen in these movies, or like why do the producers make those, like alcoholism for example, a main part of the movie, or giving me any layer of incentive as to why the movies or the films or the series are the way that they are. That's why world building was missing, is because if you didn't tell me those examples, it was really hard for me to picture like what this world what this world really looks like, or it just like deteriorates the quality of the debate, because you could have argued a lot more different things, such as the nuances of how this world looks like, as compared to just talking about like an average awareness versus no awareness debate. I think that would have improved the quality of this debate. The second comment I have to make is that and it's a bit technical, but I think this debate suffered a lot from it. So although I credit a lot of the engagement, it's just that some responses didn't was true, and your direction was like pretty good, but because you didn't finish that response or finish proving the claims that you make, it just is hard to credit it to its fullest extent. So at best, I could credit your response as a mitigation rather than an outright winning of that clash. So I think in future rounds, it would be good to pay attention to what your analysis or what your rebuttal is actually doing for your team, rather than just saying stuff. Because although you say stuff and it's pretty good stuff, I don't know how this would play a part in the debate. Which clashes are you winning? Which arguments and claims are you taking down and stuff like that? That would be great and improve your quality of your speeches as well. Right. For the verdict, on a unanimous decision, we gave it to side government. three issues for this debate. Firstly is about if the influence is good, or the impacts of the values that are upheld in these films. Secondly, it's about outreach, and this is about like efficacy of either side's model or either side's world. And lastly, it's about if this is a morally good and justifiable thing. I'll go with the third issue immediately, because that's like the least important issue. And this was an issue that was brought up by opposition. So opposition, one of the claims, although it wasn't that important, didn't really affect the like decision of the debate. I think I just like to say that there was a push coming from opposition to say that like people didn't choose to be self-destructive, and there were a lot of reasons why people are self-destructive. I can credit this point, but and I do agree that people didn't choose to have trauma and or have self-destructive behaviors or personality disorders. But I'm unclear as to why this matters at all. So there is no actual moral benefit that entrusts or makes the media hold the responsibility to display these kinds of actions. And so which means that although it is fair that people didn't choose to be self-destructive or people didn't choose to be traumatized, it is unclear to me why why the media should play any role in this, or why this should actually be displayed, even if it's a good thing, because there are a lot of good things that we don't really display because of the other consequences to it, or the other harms, or the weighing of the efficacy and the values, which the other issues will deal with. I'm just saying that this issue didn't really play a part in the verdict. Second issue, it's about outreach. Okay, let's go to the first issue. It's about influence of good values. So this issue was like talked about in both sides. So both of you wanted to talk about if the values of these movies and films are good or bad. So, and I'd like to say that this issue is very important to the debate, because if these values are actually bad, as government says it is, then it doesn't justify the big or small outreach. So this is an inherently more important issue, because although opposition might win in terms of like getting more people to watch it, it doesn't matter if the impacts of the films itself is one that is bad. Okay. So in this particular issue, Gov says a couple of things. Gov says that there are unhealthy lifestyles that impact health, like alcoholism, or like there was a push in Deputy Prime Minister talking about how it impacts children and how it normalizes these issues coming from WIP. In response to this, opposition says that it is fine and it's justifiable because it gives people awareness. Now, the question is then, is this awareness likely to happen? Because I did credit it from the start that awareness, like although all those harms exist, for so long as the awareness to people who are dealing with this personality disorder is, and the result of that awareness is good, then opposition would take this issue. But then I have to look at if this awareness is actually likely to happen. And this is probably the most contentious part of this debate was. Government says in Deputy Prime Minister that character progression doesn't happen, which means that people don't really see that there is that you can come out of the self-destructive behaviors that you have, which proves to a certain extent that the impact of awareness doesn't really happen because people don't see it, therefore people aren't aware. Opposition does decently, and this is why I'm relating it back to my general comments, is that opposition does to a certain extent say that not all characters are like that. There are some characters that can look back at their past and they regret it. And such as GTA, like the character coming from Upwip. And I do credit this quite a lot. But at this point, I need to see which outcome or which kind of character progression or which is the world in which is going to be the average portrayal of these films, right? No side really gives me a reason as to why it is likely that people are going to regret, in these movies, people will regret those behaviors, or will they continue to exist and not have any character progression as government says it is. And literally there was no team that tells me which one is more important and which one is likely to happen. So it's very hard for me to break this deadlock. The next part of this issue is about the other push coming from Gov, which is the argument on backlash. So backlash was like talked about in Deputy Prime Minister and brought back in Whip when they say that um, when because there is because of normalizing, because the effect of normalizing this behavior is bad, because then people will legitimize the actions of which they take. And they prove this by saying that if there is no backlash that happens to the protagonist even throughout the film, then people will be inclined to believe that it is somewhat true. Let's look at the responses coming from opposition. And I think opposition's best response is saying that it's good that there's normalization because then people understand it better. In absence of actually proving to me how people will be relating to this and what is the roadmap to getting that awareness and how people are likely to deal with these individuals, then normalization seems to be like a bigger harm. And I don't think opposition does any like has any mechanization to why people will be aware on the side of opposition and why that would lead to good things. So I really cannot credit this issue to opposition. Therefore, in this particular sub issue, I have to give normalization and backlash to government. So they win this clash on if the values are inherently good or bad. The last issue was about outreach, and this is to prove the efficacy of the value. And this is the push that opposition like talks about a lot. So they say that nobody's going to listen to like watch movies that are only displaying good behaviors. Okay, I credit this, but and I do agree that it highlights and it brings awareness to people. But government does well to explain why this doesn't matter. Why even if it's boring or if it's like impactful or whatever that this clash about outreach happens, the values of the movies and the films itself is harmful. Therefore, regardless of the consequences of if this film gets outreach or not, then it will still be something that we regret. And in fact, Gov does more to explain that even if it's bad, here are other alternatives to it. They say they give a lot of other alternatives in DPM as well as GovWhip when they say that you're gonna have social media, campaigning, influencers, and all those kinds of things. Although they didn't prove why these alternatives will result in like total eradication of individuals being depressed or whatnot, here, opposition's burden is to prove why your alternative through the movies and films is exclusive and is comparatively more important and much easier to convey the message compared to all the other alternatives. But when I'm looking at all the analysis of your alternative, which is having like the movies, a lot of it is not exclusive. So when you say, yeah, a lot of it is just not exclusive because so now, opposition doesn't actually explain to me why your alternative to having like bad images, like bad portrayals and depictions of these individuals result in good things if the exact same kinds of analysis is the one that OpGov uses as well. At this point, government's burden isn't to prove like that people will change and have some structural change within society, but opposition like implicitly took that burden by explaining why this alternative is one that is good. Therefore, opposition has failed to discharge the burden of like changing society and or like getting any awareness at all. Therefore, this issue has to be given to Gov as well. And for those two issues, I gave this debate to Gov. If you have any questions about the verdict, you can ask me directly. But if there are no questions, then we can. And if you want personal feedback, then you can ask me after this as well. Right. Thanks everyone for that debate.
So how do we contact you after this?
Okay. Do you guys? Are there any questions about the verdict at all? Right. If there's no questions, then I think the chairperson can wrap it up first.
So with that verdict, the House regrets the trend of placing self-destructive if antisocial characters as protagonists in media is passed. Thank you to the educators. Now the participants may move to the main room for further instruction regarding the next round. Thank you to everyone for joining the session.